Know your pitch. By now, you have talked to quite a few people about your company, right? That's great. That's your first step. In this section, let's learn to practice and refine your pitch even further so that you can nail it with no stress and no mistakes when the pressure is on. Let's start with where not to practice. You don't want to practice your pitch on potential investors. You may have heard the saying before, and it's so true. You will never get a second chance to make a first impression. And with investors, you likely won't get a second chance at all. This was a big and painful lesson I learned early on as a founder. I had a great contact who believed in what I was building and was willing to make connections to investors. Sounds perfect, right? I took those meetings. I hadn't practiced my pitch enough, and it turned out that I burned through all of those investors before my product and my pitch was ready. So you get to learn painlessly from my pain and get your pitch down so you can say it in your sleep. Think of it this way. A first-time author wouldn't send a first draft of a novel to a publisher. It's a waste of time for everyone involved. You do not want to be the one wasting an investor's time. So you have already heard me say that a key to a good pitch is practice. But unlike talks and speeches, you practice for your pitch is less about memorizing words and more about understanding what is important to convey. A great pitch is flexible depending on who you are talking to, where you are, and what you need to get across. You could even say that a good pitch is actually many pitches adaptable for the person you are talking to, what they all know already, and how much time you have. Think of your pitch as a story, and you are the storyteller. The best pitches I've heard are the ones that feel natural. You know your story better than anyone. And with practice, you'll be able to flow easily and adapt. So how do you practice if you're not talking to investors just yet? Well, talk to anyone who will listen about your company and listen to the cues. What part of your story are they clinging to? This shows what people are understanding and getting excited about with your product. Are there recurring questions that may point out confusion? Identify that. It's a sign that there's something in your pitch that's not well explained. You will need to define a bit to reduce confusion and find a way to elegantly convey your ideas. Practice telling people about your company in one sentence. You might be thinking that my pitch is much more than one sentence. Of course, it is. But you will be surprised at what we call it an elevator pitch. You only have the time it takes an elevator to go from one flow to another to effectively pitch your company. Play around with refining to one sentence and practice. It will give you the skills to be more concise with your full pitches too. Only retelling your story over and over again will bring what's working and what's not into the light. Here are 3 things you can walk away from with this video to strengthen your pitch right now. Don't be afraid to tell people about your product or company. Talk to anyone who will listen, preferably with someone who is excited but may not know details of your market or company yet. They are the most candid with responses. Finally, and most importantly, allow time to reflect after you pitch to honestly assess the discussion and make edits so you can come back even stronger the next time.